My name is Derek Shaw. I've been a crematory operator for 15 years. Pine Ridge Memorial Crematorium, Oregon. Christmas Eve, 2020. The kind of night when you're supposed to be home with family, not running industrial furnaces. We don't typically operate on Christmas Eve, standard closure, but the call came through at 3 p.m. on December 23rd, emergency cremation request. Family willing to pay triple rate plus holiday premium, insisted on Christmas Eve, insisted on 8 p.m., insisted on being present. My supervisor approved it. Money talks, especially during a pandemic year when revenue was down. So I agreed. 8 hours of holiday pay, triple rate, I'd be home by midnight, still have Christmas morning with my kids. The deceased was Mr. Philip Garrett, 64 years old, died December 22nd, natural causes listed, cardiac arrest at home. Medical examiner released the body, everything legal, everything proper. The family requested minimal preparation, no embalming, no viewing, just direct cremation. They wanted it done fast, wanted it done Christmas Eve, wanted to witness the entire process. All of them? I'd asked my supervisor. How many? 5. Wife, 3 adult children, 1 daughter-in-law. That's unusual. Most families witness the beginning, the moment the body enters the chamber, then they leave, go to the family room, wait, come back for the remains. But watching the entire process, 2 to 3 hours, watching the complete reduction, that's rare, that's intense. That's the kind of thing people think they want, but can't actually handle. They were very specific, my supervisor said. They want to watch from start to finish. They want to make sure it's complete. Something in his tone made me uneasy, but I didn't ask questions. Not my place. Families grieve differently. Families process differently. Who was I to judge? I arrived at the facility at 7 p.m., started preheating the chamber. Standard procedure. Takes 30 minutes to reach optimal temperature, 1600 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to reduce bone to ash, hot enough to leave nothing behind. The family arrived at 7:45 p.m., 5 people, all dressed in dark clothes, not funeral clothes exactly, just dark, somber. They moved together, a unit, silent, no conversation, no small talk, just purposeful movement from parking lot to entrance. I met them at the door. I'm Derek Shaw. I'll be conducting the cremation tonight. My condolences for your loss. The wife, mid-60s, gray hair, thin face, nodded once, said nothing. The eldest son, maybe 40, tall, broad-shouldered, said, "Thank you, we're ready to begin." No emotion, no inflection, just words, just statement of fact. I led them to the viewing room, large window overlooking the cremation chamber, climate-controlled, comfortable chairs, designed for families who need to witness, who need that final confirmation. The process takes approximately 2 to 3 hours. You're welcome to step out at any time. Use the family room, there's coffee, water, restrooms down the hall. "We'll stay here," the eldest son said. "All of us, the entire time." It can be intense, the heat, the sounds, the reality of, "We understand, we'll stay." Something in his voice stopped my objection. Final, absolute, not open for discussion. Mr. Garrett was already prepared. Simple cardboard cremation container, standard for direct cremation. No metal, no synthetic materials, just cardboard and the body, dressed in simple clothes, cotton, nothing that would create toxic fumes. I wheeled him to the chamber. The family watched through the window. 5 faces, expressionless, unmoving, like mannequins, like people who'd forgotten how to be human. At 8:02 p.m., I opened the chamber door. The heat blasted out. Even through the protective equipment, I could feel it. That consuming, total heat. The kind that makes you understand how thoroughly fire destroys. I positioned the container, slid it into the chamber. The cardboard caught immediately. Flames engulfed it. Within 30 seconds, the container was gone. Just ash and the body exposed to direct heat. I closed the chamber door, adjusted the temperature, monitored the gauges. Standard procedure, same thing I'd done hundreds of times. I glanced at the family. They were standing now, all five, pressed against the viewing window, faces close to the glass, watching, staring, unblinking. Not crying, not grieving, just watching, like they were waiting for something, like they needed to see something specific, like the watching was crucial, essential, non-negotiable. 10 minutes passed. The body began to change, skin contracting, fluids evaporating, the biological reality of cremation, the harsh, undeniable truth of what heat does to human tissue. Most families would have turned away by now, would have stepped back, would have excused themselves to the family room. But these five stood firm, watched everything, faces still expressionless, still unmoving. 20 minutes, 30. The body was fragmenting, bones becoming visible, the organic matter breaking down, separating, the process accelerating. I've supervised hundreds of cremations. I've seen every kind of family reaction: tears, anger, regret, relief, shock, denial, every possible emotion. But I'd never seen this complete absence of emotion, this mechanical watching, this silent, unified vigil that felt less like grief and more like verification, like they were making sure, confirming, ensuring something. At 45 minutes, I approached the viewing window. "You're welcome to take a break. This part takes a while. There's no need to—" "We're staying." The eldest son didn't look at me, didn't move his gaze from the chamber. "Until it's finished, until he's completely gone." The way he said completely gone made my skin crawl. Not sad, not mournful, not resigned, just determined. Like this was a task, like they were completing something necessary, something that required absolute certainty. 1 hour. The chamber was doing its work. The temperature was holding steady. The body was reducing, breaking down, becoming ash and bone fragments. And the family watched, all five, still pressed against the glass, still silent, still expressionless. I've never felt uncomfortable in my own facility before. I've worked alone countless times, late nights, early mornings. Never bothered me, never felt wrong. But this felt wrong. The silence was wrong. The watching was wrong. The complete lack of emotional response was wrong. This wasn't grief. This was something else. Something I didn't have words for. Something that made the air feel thick, made the room feel smaller, made my own breathing sound too loud. 90 minutes. The youngest daughter, maybe 35, finally spoke. First words since they'd arrived. "Is he suffering?" I turned to her. "No, he's deceased. There's no consciousness, no sensation, no pain. But is he suffering?" She looked at me. Her eyes were hollow, empty. "Can he feel it, the burning, the destruction?" "Ma'am, your father is dead. He can't feel anything, I promise you." "You don't understand." The eldest son's voice was flat. "You don't know what he was, what he did, what he's capable of." The wife put her hand on her son's arm, squeezed. A silent communication. He stopped talking, returned his gaze to the chamber. What he's capable of. Present tense, like Mr. Garrett wasn't dead, like he was still a threat, still dangerous, still something that needed to be, what, destroyed, eliminated, made completely gone? 2 hours. The cremation was nearly complete. The bones were fragmenting, the organic matter was ash, just the final reduction remaining. The family hadn't moved, hadn't sat, hadn't looked away. 2 hours of standing, of watching, of silent, unified vigil. At 2 hours and 15 minutes, the chamber had done its work. I began the cooling process. lowered the temperature, prepared for the final processing, the pulverization of remaining bone fragments into fine ash. The eldest son turned to me. Is it done? Is he completely gone? The cremation is complete. The remains need to be processed. Show us. I'm sorry? Open the chamber. Show us. We need to see. Sir, the chamber is still extremely hot. It's not safe to... We need to see. His voice is harder now, insistent. We need to confirm. Open it, please. I looked at the wife. She nodded. The other children nodded. All waiting. All needing to see. Against protocol, I opened the chamber door. The heat rushed out, less intense than before, but still hot enough to burn. The remains were there. Bone fragments, ash, white and gray, what's left when everything else is gone, when fire has consumed everything combustible, everything organic, everything that made Philip Garrett human. The 5 family members leaned forward, looked inside, stared at the remains for 30 seconds, maybe 45. Then the eldest son straightened, nodded once. It's done. The wife exhaled, first sound she'd made that night. Not a sob, not a mourn, just release, like she'd been holding her breath, like she'd been tense, and finally relaxing. He's gone, the youngest daughter whispered. Really gone. He can't come back. Come back. Like death wasn't enough, like cremation was necessary, like they needed to make sure, absolutely sure, that whatever Philip Garrett was, he couldn't return. They left at 10:23 p.m., took the cremated remains in a simple container, said nothing more, just filed out. Single line, silent, united. At the door, the eldest son paused, turned back to me. He refused to spend one more Christmas in that house. I'm sorry? Our father. He said if he died near Christmas, we had to cremate him immediately, before Christmas Day. He said he wouldn't spend another Christmas in that house, wouldn't let his body be there, wouldn't let any part of him remain. I don't understand. You don't need to. He looked back at the cremation chamber, at the place where his father had been reduced to ash. He's gone now. Really gone. That's all that matters. He left. The door closed behind them. I heard their cars start, heard them drive away, and I was alone in the facility with the cooling chamber and the remains and the silence. But the silence felt different now. Heavy. Oppressive. Like the room was holding something. Like the air had weight. I processed the remains. Standard procedure. Pulverized the bone fragments, placed the ash in the container the family had selected. Simple plastic, temporary. They'd probably scatter it, disperse it. Make sure it was truly gone, truly separated, truly unable to be gathered. I cleaned the chamber, reset the equipment, locked the facility, got in my car, drove home. But I couldn't stop thinking about what the son had said. He refused to spend one more Christmas in that house. Like Philip Garrett had been afraid, like he knew something, like he needed to escape, even in death, even as ash, even completely gone. I researched Philip Garrett later, found his obituary. Beloved father and husband, retired accountant, preceded in death by his parents, survived by wife Linda and 3 children. Standard, generic, nothing unusual. Nothing that explained why his family watched his cremation with such intensity, such silence, such desperate need to see him completely destroyed. But I kept searching, found old newspaper articles from 30 years ago, allegations of abuse, investigation dropped, no charges filed, family moved away, changed their lives, but the whispers remained. Philip Garrett had been a monster. Behind closed doors, behind the facade of beloved father, he'd hurt his family for years, for decades, and they'd survived, they'd escaped, they'd built new lives, but he'd remained, still alive, still existing, still a presence, still capable, even in old age, even in declining health, of being what he'd always been. And they'd waited for him to die, waited for the opportunity, waited for Christmas Eve, the holiday he'd ruined for them countless times, to make sure he was gone. Really gone, completely gone, reduced to ash, unable to return, unable to hurt, unable to haunt. The cremation wasn't grief, it was liberation, it was verification, it was absolute certainty that the monster was destroyed. And they watched every moment, made sure, confirmed, verified until there was nothing left, until he was ash, until he was scattered, until he could never, ever be put back together. I still work at the crematorium, still conduct cremations, still help families process grief and loss and complicated emotions. But I've never forgotten the Garrett family, the silent vigil, the expressionless watching, the desperate need to see him completely gone. And I've never forgotten how the room felt after they left. Heavy, wrong, like something had been released, like something dark had finally been destroyed, like the cremation had been more than physical reduction, like it had been exorcism, like it had been cleansing, like it had been the final, absolute end of something that had haunted 5 people for decades. They needed him gone. They needed to watch. They needed to know, beyond doubt, beyond hope, beyond any possibility, that Philip Garrett was ash, was scattered, was incapable of reformation. And on Christmas Eve 2020, in a crematorium in Oregon, they got what they needed, what they'd waited for, what they'd dreamed of. Complete destruction, total reduction, absolute end. The monster was ash, the nightmare was over. Christmas was finally free of him. And 5 people left that facility lighter than they'd arrived, silent still, united still, but free. Free of him, free of his presence, free of the fear that he might somehow impossibly return. They made sure, they watched, they verified, and they took his ashes and left. And somewhere, scattered in wind and water and earth, Philip Garrett is gone. Really gone. Completely gone. Unable to spend one more Christmas. Unable to hurt. Unable to exist. Just ash. Just a memory. Just the end. Finally. Forever. Gone. My name is Lauren Phillips. I've been a crematory technician for 12 years. Maplewood Memorial Crematorium, Massachusetts. Christmas morning, 2019. The kind of morning when the world is quiet and most people are home with their families. We rarely operate on Christmas Day, standard holiday closure, but this was a special request. The family had called 4 days earlier, December 21st, when Mr. Robert Chen passed, 81 years old, hospice patient, expected death. His wife Helen had made the request personally. Robert wanted his cremation on Christmas morning, she'd told my supervisor. He was very specific in his wishes. He said if he passed near Christmas, the cremation should happen Christmas Day. He wanted to... Her voice had broken slightly. He wanted to leave on a day that meant something, a day of joy. My supervisor explained the holiday surcharge, the staffing difficulties. Helen agreed immediately. Whatever it costs, this was his wish, his only request. So I volunteered. Single, no kids. Christmas morning alone wasn't much different than any other morning. The holiday pay would be substantial, and helping a family honor their loved one's wishes felt meaningful, felt right. I arrived at the facility at 8 a.m., started the preparation, checked the equipment, preheated the cremation chamber. Standard procedure. Everything by the book. Mr. Chen was already prepared. Simple cardboard cremation container. Dignified. Clean. His file showed a life well lived. Born in Taiwan. Immigrated in 1965. Electrical engineer. 43 years with the same company. Married to Helen for 56 years. 3 children, 7 grandchildren. The notes from hospice mentioned he'd been alert until the end, peaceful, ready. His last words to Helen were, "I'll see you at Christmas." She'd thought he meant he'd rally, hold on through the holiday. He died 6 hours later. The family was scheduled to arrive at 9 a.m. Small group. Helen, 2 adult children. They'd requested a brief committal moment before the cremation, just a few minutes, a chance to say goodbye. Our facility has a small chapel area for these moments. Quiet, peaceful. We play music during committal services, provides atmosphere, offers comfort, helps families through difficult moments. The music system is simple, digital playlist, preloaded with 40 hymns and classical pieces, standard funeral music, Amazing Grace, Ave Maria, Canon in D, the usual selections. Everything approved, everything licensed, everything appropriate. I queued up Ave Maria for the Chen service. Neutral, peaceful, suitable for any faith tradition or cultural background. The family arrived at 8:55 a.m. Helen looked fragile, 80 years old, leaning on her daughter's arm, her son on the other side, supporting her, steadying her. She was dressed simply, dark blue sweater, gray slacks, practical, dignified. "Thank you for being here today," she said to me. Her accent was slight, precise, the voice of someone who'd learned English as a second language and spoke it carefully. "I know it's Christmas, I know it's difficult, but Robert was very clear. He wanted this, Christmas morning, a day of meaning." "It's my honor to help, Mrs. Chen." She smiled, small, sad. "He loved Christmas. Not the religious part, we're not Christian, but the feeling, the joy, the togetherness. He said Christmas morning felt like hope, like renewal, like the world pausing to remember what matters." I led them to the chapel. Mr. Chen's container was positioned respectfully, flowers arranged around it, simple white lilies. The family had brought them. Helen placed her hand on the container, whispered something in Mandarin, too quiet for me to hear. "Would you like to say anything?" I asked gently. "Before we begin?" Helen nodded. "Robert Chen was the best man I ever knew, best husband, best father, best grandfather. He came to this country with nothing, built a life, built a family, gave us everything." Her voice wavered, but held. "He said when he died, he wanted to leave on a beautiful day. He wanted his last moment to be special. Christmas morning was his choice, his gift to us. One more beautiful memory." Her daughter wiped her eyes. Her son put his arm around Helen's shoulders. No one spoke for a long moment. "He also said," she paused, collected herself. "He said he'd find a way to let me know he was okay, that he had arrived safely, that I shouldn't worry. I told him I would worry anyway. That's what love is." He laughed, said, "I'll prove it to you. You'll know, I promise." She looked at the container, at the cardboard, and the body inside, at what remained of 56 years of marriage. "I'm waiting for that proof, Robert. Show me you made it. Show me you're okay." At 9:08 a.m., I began the committal process. Opened the chamber door, positioned the container. The family watched quietly, respectfully. Helen's hand pressed to her heart, the universal gesture of loss, of love, of goodbye. I pressed play on the music system. Ave Maria should have begun, operatic, soaring, the chapel filling with sound. But Ave Maria didn't play. 3 seconds of silence, then static, brief, maybe 1 second of white noise. Then music, different music, piano, soft, gentle, a melody I recognized immediately. "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." A woman's voice, not modern, old recording, that distinctive sound quality from decades ago, scratchy, warm, real instruments, real voice, not digital, not processed. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. I froze, stared at the control panel. The display showed Ave Maria as the current track, but this was playing, this Christmas song, this old recording, this voice that sounded like it was coming from 1950, 1960, somewhere in the past. I moved to the system, tried to stop the playback. The button didn't respond. Tried to change tracks. Nothing. The system was locked, playing a song that shouldn't exist in our database. Helen gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Robert!" Her daughter looked confused. "Mom? That's our song." Helen was crying now. Steady tears. Not sad tears. Something else. Recognition. Joy. Disbelief. "That's our song, from 1963, our first Christmas together. Robert took me to a dance. This version played. We danced. He held me close. He said, 'This will be our song, every Christmas, forever.' Have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away." The son was staring at the speakers. "How is that playing? Did you—" He looked at me. "Did you plan this?" "No, I cued Ave Maria. This shouldn't be playing. This song isn't in our system." Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Helen stepped closer to the container, placed both hands on it. "You kept your promise. You said you'd let me know. You said I'd have proof. This is it. This is you. This is your way of telling me you're okay. You arrived. You're safe. You're at peace." "Mom, it's just a coincidence." "No." Helen's voice was firm, certain. "It's not coincidence. This exact version, this exact recording from 1963, the one we danced to, the one we played every Christmas for 56 years, the one Robert loved, the one that was ours." I checked the music player display. The screen flickered. The track information changed. Now it showed, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas, 1963, Bing Crosby." But that file didn't exist 3 minutes ago. I'd checked the playlist yesterday, confirmed everything was ready. That song wasn't there. That version wasn't there. Nothing Christmas-related was in our system at all. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough. The Bing Crosby version, updated lyrics, not the original 1944 melancholy version, the hopeful one, the joyful one, the one that promised togetherness, that promised light, that promised future. I slid Mr. Chen's container into the chamber. The family watched. Helen's face was peaceful now, radiant almost, like she'd received the message she needed, the proof she'd asked for, the sign her husband had promised. "And have yourself a merry little Christmas now." The song ended. Bing Crosby's voice faded. The orchestra played the final notes. Gentle, warm, conclusive, perfect. Then the music system returned to normal. Ave Maria resumed, mid-note, exactly where it should have started, like nothing had happened, like the interruption was planned, intentional, meant to be. I closed the chamber door, started the cremation process. The family stood in silence, Helen's hands still pressed together, prayer position, or gratitude position, or both. After 5 minutes, I closed the viewing shutters, gave them privacy. "You're welcome to wait in the family room. This will take approximately 2 hours. I'll notify you when it's complete." "Thank you," Helen whispered, "for whatever you did, however you made that happen. Mrs. Chen, I didn't do anything, I promise you. That song playing, I can't explain it. She looked at me. Her eyes were clear, peaceful, knowing. I know you didn't. Robert did. He kept his promise. He let me know. He's okay. He's where he needs to be. And he's still thinking of me, still loving me, still keeping the promises we made 56 years ago. The family left after I completed the cremation. Helen held the urn, beautiful brass engraved with dragons and clouds, Chinese cultural symbols, and smiled. Actually smiled. Not grief, not sadness, peace, certainty, joy even. "Merry Christmas," she said at the door. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for witnessing. Thank you for not trying to explain it away." After they left, I went to the control room, checked the music system thoroughly, searched every folder, every file, every directory, every possible location. "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, 1963 Bing Crosby" was nowhere in the database, didn't exist, had never existed, couldn't have played. But I'd heard it, clear as day, perfect quality, that distinctive 1960s recording, Bing Crosby singing updated lyrics, orchestra backing, warm, real, unmistakably there. I called my supervisor later that day, explained what happened. She was quiet for a long moment. "Equipment glitch," she finally said. "Radio interference. Maybe a nearby station was broadcasting Christmas music. The system picked it up somehow." At 9 a.m. Christmas morning, playing the exact song the deceased and his wife danced to in 1963, the exact version they played every Christmas for 56 years? Coincidence. Helen Chen asked her husband to give her a sign, proof he was okay, and 3 minutes later their song played, from a system that doesn't contain that song, during his cremation, on Christmas morning. That's not coincidence. She sighed. Lauren, I've been in this business 28 years. I've seen things I can't explain, equipment that behaves strangely, songs that play when they shouldn't, moments that feel orchestrated. I stopped trying to rationalize it. Some things just happen. Whether it's Robert Chen or the universe or random mercy, does it matter? Helen got what she needed. Peace, closure, proof that love doesn't end. She was right. It didn't matter how. It mattered that it happened, that Helen heard her song, that Robert kept his promise, that love found a way to communicate across death, across impossibility, across the boundary between here and wherever he'd gone. I've worked at this crematorium for 12 years, conducted hundreds of cremations, helped hundreds of families process grief and loss and complicated emotions around death. But I've never forgotten Christmas morning 2019, the song that shouldn't have played, the file that didn't exist, the promise kept from beyond death. Robert Chen told Helen he'd give her proof. He'd let her know he was okay. He'd find a way to communicate, and she'd know, she'd recognize, she'd understand. And on Christmas morning, during his cremation, at the exact moment she needed reassurance, their song played, the 1963 Bing Crosby version, the one they danced to, the one they shared every Christmas for 56 years, the one that was theirs alone. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it was Robert's spirit or quantum entanglement or the universe bending to mercy. I don't know if it was electromagnetic interference or digital anomaly or something beyond current understanding. But I know what played. I know what the system showed for those 3 minutes. I know the file that appeared and then vanished. I know the perfect timing, the perfect song, the perfect message. And I know Helen's face, the peace, the certainty, the joy. She got her proof. Her husband kept his promise. Love transcended death. Connection survived cremation. And the song that was theirs, that had been theirs for 56 years, played one final time on Christmas morning during his cremation when she needed it most. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Robert and Helen would be together. The fates allowed. Love transcended. Promises were kept. And the song played when it shouldn't have been possible. Every Christmas since 2019, I think about that morning, about the music that shouldn't have existed, about the promise kept across death, about Helen's peaceful smile. And I wonder how many other impossible things happen in crematoriums, in funeral homes, in hospitals, in the places where we say goodbye, where death seems final, where separation seems absolute. How many songs play when they shouldn't? How many signs are given? How many promises are kept? How many messages cross the impossible boundary? I don't have answers, but I know what I witnessed, what I heard, what I documented and couldn't explain. The song that wasn't there, playing perfectly at exactly the right moment for exactly the right person, delivering exactly the right message. Robert Chen kept his promise. Helen got her proof. Love transcended death. Connection survived cremation. And the song that was theirs, that had been theirs for 56 years, played one final time on Christmas morning during his cremation when she needed it most. Have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Robert did. Helen knew. And on Christmas morning 2019, in a crematorium in Massachusetts, I witnessed a promise kept across the impossible divide between life and death. The song wasn't there, but it played, and that's all that matters.